The title of the day is Attitude. Everybody say attitude.
Attitude.
All right. Next page. 1 Corinthians 9:19 through 24. He said this, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? See, we live in the age of participation trophies. Okay, which just absolutely aggravates me to no end. Because I used to coach a little league team, and some kids would never come to practice, but they'd show up on game day, and you had to play them 2 innings. That wasn't how it flew in my day. No. First of all, you had to make the team. We actually got cut if we weren't good enough. What did that make you do? You went home and you got better and you tried again next year. Did you know that Michael W. Smith tried out for Amy Grant's worship for her band when she traveled, and they told him he wasn't good enough? You know what he did? He went home and practiced and came back again. And that's how Michael W. Smith is one of the premier artists today in Christian music. Why? Because he took rejection and he turned it into something. But see, we're so fragile snowflakes in this generation, we can't hardly handle anybody being critical. Well, God is even telling us that everybody's running, but not everybody's going to win. Let me say that again. Everybody may run, but not everybody's going to win. You got to run in a way that you're going to win. And that doesn't mean that everybody can't win, but he doesn't just hand out participation trophies. Amen?
All right.
And what am I talking about? I'm not talking about getting to heaven. I'm talking about living down here.
Okay.
See, the stuff we need to be concentrating on is the stuff we need on earth. You know, heaven's taken care of, Justin. I'm ready for heaven. But I got to live down here a long time until I get there. Next page. Or maybe not. 2 Kings 13:18 through 19. He said, take the arrows. This is Elisha. He said, take the arrows. And he took them. And he said to the king of Israel, you've heard this story much, but he said, strike the ground. So he went, tap, tap, tap.
Yes.
And it inflamed Elisha. He said, you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck Syria till you had destroyed it. But now you will strike Syria only 3 times. And that's all you're going to beat them. In other words, evidently God likes the way we respond to his promise. He likes the way we act or our attitude about what we're doing. I don't know how you are, but I don't like my kids to follow by me and just say goodbye, Dad, or hello, Dad, just because they have to. I kind of like for them to want to be around me. To spend time with me. My wife's the same way, you know. Ironically, she still wants me to court her and love her and nurture her, even though we've been married 33 years in June. You want a healthy marriage, this is your garden, and you sow into it every day. You plant love. If you want to, see, the Bible doesn't ever tell the wife to love the husband. It tells the husband to love the wife, and the wife to submit to the husband. You want love from her, put some love in the tank. Anyway, I'm chasing rabbits. Why was Elisha mad? Because he went nonchalant. He didn't believe what he had told him to do. He said, you strike the ground like God's going to strike Syria. You act like this is real. You act like this is going to work. You know, every time we get in here and we take up the offering, it gets really quiet. Just like that. Thanks for the demonstration. Because praying for healing's easy. It doesn't cost me anything. It's already been paid for. Amen. I pray for protection. It's already been paid for. Amen. But you know, I went to McDonald's the other day and they didn't want my faith. They wanted $5. I can't believe myself a hamburger. I got to go to the grocery store. I got to hand them something in exchange. And so when we start talking about money or prosperity or provision, I just got news for you. We sat down yesterday and Sherry wrote down all the stuff we owe. We're getting out of debt. You know why? Because the borrower is servant to the lender. And I'm tired of somebody else telling me how I'm going to live my life. I'm selling my house. If I have to live in a camper with Kevin, then we're going to do it because I'm not going to owe anybody anything. I'm not kidding. Because I suddenly realized having stuff that I've got to pay on all the time is just misery and slavery. I want to live my life. Amen. I want to do what God called me to do while I was here. And so next page. See, many covenant promises are open-ended. The level and amount is determined by our perspective. God is ready to match our enthusiasm, effort, and the size of our faith. But he is also limited by these factors. I'll give you an example next page. 2 Kings 4. Elisha happened upon this woman whose husband had died. And buddy, back in the day when your husband died, you know, you either became a beggar or a prostitute or you got married again. Right. There was no job for them to do. And so Elisha wandered up on her, and the creditors are coming to go get her kids. So how many of you know she had a need? How many of you know Elisha could see that need? Why didn't you just jump in there on it? Why is it when the widow woman, look at me, when Jesus was in his day, and the widow woman came and put her 2 pennies in the offering, why didn't he call for the rich guys and say, no, you come up here and give her? Because it says in the gospel, it says that the woman gave out of her poverty. She didn't want to be in poverty, so she started giving her way out of it. God didn't set up some sort of, entitlement program. Exactly. It's a covenant. Touch never say covenant. You know what that means? It's an agreement between 2 people. It's the new covenant. Amen? Can someone help me out this morning? Yes. Some of you look like an oil painting. You haven't moved in the last 2 minutes. Elisha came to this woman and he said, what shall I do for you? Well, duh. It's like when the leper came up to Jesus and said, what do you want me to do? Yeah. Sell me aluminum siding? No, I've got leprosy. Why did Jesus ask those questions, Ken? Because he needs to make He needs to make some sort of connection with him. He needs him to say the things back to him so that the connection is made. Okay. He said, "What do you have in the house? What do you have in the house?" Okay. And the maidservant says, "I have nothing but a jar of oil." Amen. Now let me just give you one point right here, next page. Good. The road, I wish you'd listen to me this morning. The road to where you want to go starts where you are right now. Yeah. You don't have to wait or get somewhere else. It starts right now and it starts today. Come on. The problem is that the open door you are seeking is hidden in something you already have, but currently do not value. Okay. He said, "What do you have in the house?" She said, "Nothing." And yet sitting right there. In her house, getting no respect, getting no attention. She had looked over the whole thing. And he said, "Bring me that." Let me tell you something. God's going to use what you've got before he gives you something else. I'm going to say that again. God's going to use what you have before he ever gives you something else. So quit praying for stuff you don't have. Use what you have and see what comes. Next page. 2 Kings 4. He told her this instruction. Go borrow vessels from where? From all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few. Did you see that there is no numeric value given? There is no range for her to search to or boundary. He simply says go everywhere. Borrow from everybody and don't just get a few. Well, see, contained within that sentence is the amount of blessing and the amount of prosperity and the amount of power she's going to be able to achieve. Next page. Because see, what happened was that she went and gathered vessels. Now, if she had the same attitude as Mr. Tap, 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 then she probably walked out and found some empty Coke cans. I don't know how many she gathered, but I do know this. They started pouring the oil out of that little jar, and it just kept pouring and kept pouring. And every time they filled up a jar, every time they filled up a vessel, they'd go get another. Every time they filled up a vessel, they'd go get another. And when they brought the last vessel, the oil stopped. What determined the flow of the oil? How many vessels? Who determined how many vessels? A woman. In fact, God wasn't even in on that deal. Okay. Next page. See, what defines a vessel? How far is everywhere? How many is not just a few? This is all determined by your understanding of how big your God is. Yes. Okay. If we really believe the scripture about tithes and offerings, you couldn't get it out of our pocket fast enough. Right. I'm going to go over it in a minute. I know I'll give you some more chance to be real quiet. Well, let me tell you what I think a vessel is. How about this one? Next one. This is the Sea-Wise Giant. It's the largest oil tanker in the world. It holds 4.2 million barrels of oil or $213 million worth of oil. If she somehow got that out there in that desert, the oil would still be pouring.
Right.
How big is your vessel? How big is your God?
Okay.
You know what he said? He said, it'll be given unto you as you have given.
Yeah.
Give and it'll be given back to you. With the same measure you give, it'll be given back.
Okay.
You use a teaspoon, you get it back in teaspoons. You use a cup, you get it back in cup. You use a dump truck, you get it back. You follow me, right?
Right.
Next page. Well, see, here's what he said. Let me just review. Before he even told her what to do, the first thing was she had to give what she had to the man of God.
Okay.
I just don't like them TV preachers. I don't know how they're doing. Like I said earlier, then don't give it.
Right.
Just shut your pie hole and do something else.
Right, right.
I find that the people that gripe the most about other people having money are really jealous because they don't have any. It's okay to agree with me on this, okay? So the first step was, it's kind of understood, give me the oil, right? What was her next thing to do? She was to take whatever oil she had, sell it, watch this, pay her debt.
Okay.
Now here's the important part. And whatever you have left, that's what you live on. And if we get this all out of kilter here, is it any wonder we don't ever have enough money or stuff? Because we've got this out of priority.
Okay.
Usually what people do is they pay their debts, and then they live off what they got, and then they give God what's in their pocket whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. Oh, me.
Didn't work that way, did it? Didn't work that way. I've talked to these young men right here, and since they were little, and you know what? They've been doing what I told them to do. And I'm going to tell you something, they're all going to retire early, and they're all going to be wealthy when they retire. You know what? Because they give offerings, they save their money, they don't buy on credit.
Come on.
Come on!
Right.
And all we want to do is fuss about Social Security. Look here, forget Social Security.
Right.
Make your own. My security is not Uncle Sam. My security is Father God.
Right.
Next page.
That's right. Come on.
That's right. How well you are living is directly proportionate to your level of obedience to God's word.
Okay.
I'm going to say that again. How well you are living is directly proportionate to your level of obedience to God's word. Does he still love you? Sure he does. Okay, you're going to make it to heaven, you bet. If you're born again, you are. But down here, Marty, there's some covenant things that we got to get in line with if we want to receive them.
Okay.
We can't just expect it. God's got a plan. God's got a plan.
Right.
Waiting on the Lord.
Wait on the Lord.
Come on.
Being translated, I'm not doing one thing but sitting my big fat butt on the couch and flipping channels. I'm not doing a thing. I'm not putting any seed in the ground. I'm not getting active with my prayer life. I'm not going forward and doing the things I know to do. I'm just sitting around waiting for circumstances to make my decisions for me. Next page. I'm almost done. Malachi 3. This is the bad one. It says, will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But you saying, what have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse. For you have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and try me. He's saying, I dare you. Since the day I was saved, I have never not tithed on every dollar that came in my house. Whether it was a gift, whether it was salary. And you know what? We have never gone without. Not once. And there have been some lean years here, baby. I quit an engineering job to come pastor 20 kids that didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Nobody had a job. What was I thinking? I guess I wasn't thinking. I made a deal with the Lord on the way home, and he said, you think I'm at least as faithful as the federal government? Okay.
All right. That's good.
Enough said, right? So I don't even count the money that comes in here. I don't know if you give or don't give. Well, I tell you what I do know if you give or don't give by the trouble you're in. I'm just telling you. I'm going to tell you right now, when people bring their broken, messed up life to me, I can guarantee you one thing. They don't know where their Bible is, and they have never tithed a day in their life. It's getting kind of quiet in this church. Woo! Try me in this, says the Lord, if I'm not open for you the windows of heaven, pour out for you such a blessing that there'll not be room enough to receive it. Do you think God needs your money? No, he needs your obedience. He How do you think you got that healing you're praying for?
Yes, sir. Amen.
Something left heaven so it could come here.
Yes, sir.
God wanted to save us, so he let us kill his son. Something left heaven so something could leave earth.
That's right.
Come on, man. Oh, and by the way, I'll rebuke the devourer for your sake. So he'll not destroy the fruit of your ground, or the vine that failed to bear fruit for you in the field. I'll take care of all that if you'll just meet me right here. And he didn't ask you for 100% of your income. He said 10. Is that the net of the gross? Just forget it. You know, if you're rounding down and crap, just forget it. You know, you've missed the point.
Right.
As long as I've known some of you, I know you've been given more than 10, 15%, 20%, and you don't understand that you're sowing seed. Look here, either we believe this stuff or not. I mean, I'm entrusting my entire eternity to one promise in that book. Well, if I can trust my eternity, you think I can trust my light bill and my groceries?
Come on.
Right?
Right.
Well, you don't make enough money to do what you're called to do. None of you do. That's why, because it's not supernatural, Dr. Dave. I just can't wait to see what God's going to do. See, Dr. Dave got up here today and played the piano, and that was a stretch for him. Even though he could play it better with his elbows than I can play with both hands.
Come on.
But he's a little shaking up there. He's but you know what? He's stretching. Come on, baby. And your gift set's expanding. And all these things. And I'm going to tell you, God's going to drop something down in your spirit, and you're going to be blinking at me like, did I hear that right? And you're going to know it's going to quicken your spirit, but you don't know it's what you're supposed to do. I don't know if that's for you, not me. I think next page. The best measure of your faith is defined by what you do with what is in your hand. You trust God only to the level, let's say that again. You trust God only to the level that you trust him to provide for your needs. Do you trust your job or your government or your own abilities more than you trust him to be faithful to his word? See, I'm going to tell you something. I have a good friend of mine, and he just Facebooked me. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. And the last time I played Jesus for the Whip Hammer and the Cross, he used to play football for Mississippi State. Big man. And I told him, I said, I want you to make this real. Make it look real. Don't pull your punches. And he took that to the nth degree. He was pulling my hair, hitting me right in the gut and stuff. And everybody said, well, that was great acting. That wasn't no acting. He was pulling my hair out and breaking my ribs. Jared Young, if you're watching, I love you. But Jared was an engineer. Jared had a fine house. Jared had the wife and the 2 kids and the white picket fence and the American dream. And the Lord told him to give everything he had away. Get behind me, Satan! He started giving it all away. And then he gave that away. And it was the end of the summer. He said I had like $100 left. His wife came to me and she said, honey, please, the kids don't have shoes for the school year. Let me keep this. Buy some shoes, and we've done it all, right? And Jared thought that sounded good, and he said, no. He said, give it all. I gave it all. He said, listen to me there. When the last $100 went out the door, he said almost immediately somebody was knocking on my door, bringing shoes and clothes. And it wasn't like it was somebody feeling sorry for him. It was like a supernaturally provision started pouring down the chimney. And Jerry told me, he said, Charlie, I'll never be afraid again. Because the one who is the keeper of my heart has given me a promise that food, clothing, and shelter will be something I don't ever have to worry about in my lifetime.
Right.
If you weren't afraid and you could do whatever you wanted to do with your life, what would you be doing today? How many, so many people, they hate their job. Look, I'm glad you got a job, and that shows me something. But I'm going to tell you something. God has not condemned you to a lifetime of misery because you hate your job. Because he put something in there that is already in love with you, and you're in love with it. And if you'll just finally realize, okay, I can keep trusting my abilities, or I can finally crank this thing up. I saw something. We got to go down to the beach for a couple of days, and I saw something, and it was the most amazing thing. You know, they had that hurricane come through or whatever. And it was pretty windy out there. And again, I saw this seagull, and it wasn't his first rodeo. And I watched him do something that was amazing. Right? He did this. The wind was blowing, and he just stuck his wings out. He didn't have to flap. He didn't have to fight it. He just let the wind get in there, and it just took him way up in the air. And I thought, wow, that's a lot easier than what I've been trying to do.
Right.
I look like that albatross or ostrich trying to get off the ground. I know you got that picture burning in your memory. Next page. John 6. Jesus purposely, y'all with me? I'll get you out here by noon, I promise. Even before that. Jesus purposely did what he's about to do. These people would come and follow him even out in the middle of the desert, and finally the disciples came to us and said, Jesus, turn them away, man. Let them go into the city and buy food. Right. And Jesus said, you feed them. Well, there were 5,000 men. So if they had their families, we're looking at 20,000, 25,000. If they're homeschoolers, 100,000. Just kidding. We homeschool, that's why I make that joke. It's a lot of folks. And they looked at him like, feed him with what? Well, ask around. We got one kid here. He's got 2 Captain D's fillets and 5 hush puppies. Great, that's enough. Jesus, we're going to get you a hat because the sun's baking your brain. You know what he did? He took what they gave him. He blessed it, gave thanks, and then he started handing it out. Okay? And it said that when they all ate, listen to me. By the way, it was small fish. And it said that when they had all eaten, they were full. You know, I mean, I've been in these little places. One time, Sherry and I went out for our anniversary to a place in Hartselle, and it's real swanky and all. And I ordered the shrimp. I didn't know I had to specify plural. Because there was one shrimp. I'm thinking, you must have dropped some of this coming out of the kitchen.
Yes.
Tell the truth.
Right. Wow. It was like the cute.
Oh, it was real cute, and all. I had a shoe on it, whatever. I'm serious.
Shoe fly.
Put a lot of time in it. How about you leave off the shoes and bring some more shrimp? I've turned these guys onto the shrimp basket.
Yes.
Where 5 nights out of the week, we got all you can eat, baby. And so I eat until I'm full. Finally, the last time we were just there, the guy said, how many more you want? He's wearing out his shoe leather. I lost my mind.
Uh-oh.
Anyway.
It's a tricky switch.
Oh, it's all right. What's that?
It's a switch.
No, it's better.
I don't know about that. Anyway, it's just distractions. Here, I'll let y'all take care of it. Get it back to when it's ready. And so, they handed this food out. Everybody ate until they were, give me one of these.
How about it?
Oh.
And they gathered up all the fragments, and they had 12 baskets full of fragments of stuff that they couldn't even bring themselves to eat. One for each disciple to take back.
Come on.
But guess who got the 12 baskets? The little boy. The little boy that had the 2 fish fillets and the 5 hush puppies, now he's got 12 baskets full to take back home. How fast could you get your 2 fish and hush puppies out and give them to Jesus if you got 12 baskets full every time? You see what I'm saying? That boy went scooting home. Dad, guess what? Because God loves to He loves to multiply. He loves to add to. He loves to bless. But that 5 loaves and those 2 fish had to come out of that boy's hand. God's trying to teach us something that none of this, this thing about tithing, 100% of what you make is His. Everything that you have. That was the deal you made when you got in the kingdom. Didn't you know that? That you traded your life in for His? And all He's asking you to do is, if you'll give me the first 10th, I'll multiply that back on you, and you won't ever have to do with that. I just can't understand why we can't figure that out. Is it the gross or net? It's whatever. If you're trying to figure out how little you can do to get it, then you're not going to get it. Next page. Hebrews 2:10, for it was fitting for Him for whom all things are, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons to glory, that the captain of their salvation was made perfect through suffering. See, God wanted a family, so He planted a son.
Right.
The very best that heaven had came so that we could come and get the very best He had.
Right.
Next page. 2 Corinthians 9. Here's this. I'm sure I'm talking to the wrong crowd. This is all for this audience today. But I say this: he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly.
Yep.
If you sow bountifully, you'll reap bountifully. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart. Now let me tell you something. Some of us are such a soft touch, and you should make an assignment for everything that comes into your house. Every dollar, every provision, everything. It should have a job. It should have a place it's going.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people in the world today that'll hold up the sign that says, "I'll work for food." And what they really mean by the sign is, "I don't want to work, just give me money." But our heart starts pounding. We're feeling guilty. I better give him $1. It looks bad. Well, look, He said, don't give anything grudgingly. Don't give anything out of necessity. Pray. Ask the Holy Spirit. If He says give, and then give some more.
Right.
But if He doesn't, He's not calling on you to do it. Because the devil's planted in some of your lives, and he's robbing you daily before you can ever get to the market.
That's a good word, Pastor.
All right, I know it ain't popular, but it's true. Next page.
Tight, but it's right.
Attitude. What does attitude mean? It means your posture. You have an attitude. Good. I want you to get an attitude. You know what I want you to do? I want you to get so cocky I have to call you down. I'm serious. Some of you walk around with your hair in front of your face and you're toeing the ground. You're just acting like you got a day pass to live on earth today. This is your planet. That's your job. Wherever you live, that's your territory. He told Abraham, whatever the sole of your foot comes on to step on, I'm going to give for you as a possession. What have you walked around and claimed as yours? What are you doing with your covenant? Your posture, your position. A position that's assumed for a purpose. Your mental state. Your state of readiness. Your response to stimulus. And yes, it is a cool, cocky, defiant self.
Amen.
You know what? I have found out that the only people that panic are people who have no vision.
Okay.
Because when you know where you're going, it's just a detour. Because I'm going to get there.
Right.
I may have to go around this way and do this 5 times, but I'm going to get right there. I'll tell you something. This is one thing about Taylor. I love this story. Taylor was so tender that she wouldn't let me pull her baby teeth when they were dangling. They had to fall out on their own. Okay? She just didn't like it. She wouldn't do it. They'd just sit there and she'd be talking. I couldn't pay attention. I'm looking at a little tooth wag. But then all her teeth grew in sideways. She wanted braces. To get braces, she had to go get 4 baby teeth that were that long.
Not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Dr. Simpson had to climb up on top of her with a jackhammer and get them out. What was the difference between, don't touch that, and pulling 4 of those dead gum fangs out? She had a purpose she's going for. She had a destiny and a goal. And you know what, Sunday, the real Taylor clicked in. Mm-hmm. I told her since she was 2 years old, we should have named her Relentless. I mean that in the best kind of way.
No.
How many of you would like to get a little relentless? Any time for you to get a little relentless.
Yes.
Nothing is going to stop you. Nothing is going to get in your way. Nothing's going to steal my joy. Not Next page.
No, sir.
Attitude. It's to break out of a rut. You know, a rut is just a grave with two ends in it.
Yeah.
On me.
You don't need to dig your way out of a hole. You're digging deeper. You got to break out.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To break out of a rut, you have to bust through the wall. To go where you have never been, you have to do something you have never done.
Right.
You were built by the kingdom for the kingdom, and you will never be satisfied until you complete your assignment.
Right.
How many more days are you going to waste being afraid to start?
Right.
Next page. Almost done. I ask you again what Elisha asked. What do you have in the house? What's in your hands right now that you can start doing? What is in your hand right now that you could put in motion that's laying dormant? Lying dormant. Because until we do that, there's so many people in this room, don't you look at me. I know people in this room that are great writers, comedians. I know people in this room that have such compassion that they're better pastors than I'll ever be. There are people in this room, you're musical. There are people in this room that you do dramas. There are people in this room that you can tutor people. You're smart, but you're just not, you have not activated. You haven't asked the Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do? Because I want to tell you this, and if I get you in trouble, I'm really sorry about that. If you hate going to work tomorrow morning, it's time for you to do something else. Because your life is too precious, bought with too precious a price for you to hate it every day. Because I guarantee you, either we trust him with this or we don't believe him anyway. It's just a bunch of lip service.
Right. Amen.
And I say it's time to get a plan and make a move and make a step and watch what God's going to do. Don't you bow your heads when we're going to turn the lights down just for a second. Now, if you want to be crazy and all that, I had a lady tell me one time, she said, I prayed to the Lord. I said, if I pass 7 cars on the way home, then I can divorce my husband. Lord knows how long she stayed out on that road. Lord, if you want me to get those Krispy Kreme donuts, there'll be an open parking place.
Hot
And
sound.
after I drove around the block 5 times, one opened up. Yeah, you can do all that stuff if you want to. But the truth is this. If you dare to ask again, what are you passionate? What do you love? If you don't know, it's time to find out. God didn't put anybody on this planet to just limp along and just live a mundane existence and go home one day and nobody ever even know you were here. I saw this picture one time and the guy was reading an obituary. It said John Smith died. There were no relatives and no pallbearers. And the comment was made, how could he die? He never lived. Who are you affecting? Who's affected you that you want to go, I want to be like they were in my life? Because everybody here's commissioned to do this. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. You're here to touch somebody else's life with your story. God didn't put you down here so you could grind it out and die early one day so you can't wait to get out of here. He wants you to fulfill a purpose, a destiny, a life you could have only dreamed of. Isn't that what he said in Jeremiah? I have a plan for you. I've got a thoughts. I daydream about you. Thoughts of giving you a hope and a purpose. And the life you could have only dreamed of. Let's say you've screwed up to this point. Great. What a perfect day to turn it around. What a perfect day to finally be the man of God God's called you to be. What a perfect day to be the mother and the husband and the wife and the daughter and the son. To finally stop whatever the mess is and be the person that stands up and says, I'm going to make an end to this.
Yes.
And I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do what God called me to do. I want you to bow your heads with me for a second. I'm not going to ask you reasons why, or if you feel like the Holy Spirit's touching you this morning and saying, hey, let's saddle up. Hey, trust me. Hey, let go of something you've been carrying and clutching so tightly, and let me have it and watch what I can do with it. Hey, start being faithful over little. I'll make you rule over much. Hey, start tithing. Start giving offerings. Watch and see if I won't do exactly what I said I would do. Watch and see if I can't get you out of debt and out of bondage and out of trouble and save your kids and bring about the life you hope for. Watch and see. If you want God to, if He's touching you and you want to touch back, raise your hand, wave it at me. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. All over the house. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Crank that up for me. Let's stand as we listen to this song.